Hey there YouTube, I'm Ikitsu, this is the Ikitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to a little bit of Ixion. So, we're in chapter 1 now, we're back here, and I'm going to be showing you guys sort of like a step-by-step kind of thing, because this place is a little bit janky. So we're going to go ahead and start these quests off. The first one is just tell us go to Earth, and the other one is the moon exploded. And I have to sort of explain why that happened. I could have literally just lied and been like, I don't know. It's been like, we're 10,000 years in the future. Who knows what could have happened? Maybe. Who knows? However, the AI did tell us that our ship was sabotaged, and that's what caused the moon to explode. So we'll just say that this one. All of them do exactly the same thing. I wish that there was actually some differences there. Either way, the first thing that we have to do is rush to Earth to figure out what's going on over there. Partly because, like, that's the natural thing to do, but also because, like, that gives us a lot of resources. Ignore the fact that everyone is angry and we're losing trust at a horrific rate. That will auto-correct itself. The thing that happened was we jumped through the mealtime so that people didn't get their food, and for some reason we can't just feed them a little bit later. So the game is kind of just like, nope, if you don't eat right on schedule, you just get to die. In any event, though, let's go ahead and start launching some probes around here. We've got a lot to do here. So we're going to want to start launching probes just all over the place as quickly as we can. We're only going to be able to do a couple here because we don't have that much polymer. But we'll be getting more polymer pretty quickly, so that's something that we can sort of keep track of. Once we arrive on Earth, you want to investigate the Dolus headquarters first. And the reason for this is that we want to get access primarily to alloys, first of all, and then the polymers second. And of course, lastly, we want to get the chips. The order is the Dolus headquarters, that's just going to give us basically alloys. Then we go for the entire planet, that's going to give us polymers and alloys. And then lastly, we go for our personal house, which gives us alloys and computer chips. And we're not really checking there, like our house is in the bottom of some sort of gigantic, the Earth opened up into a chasm to the center of the Earth there, so we're not really checking our house in any real relevant sense there. In any event, we have to have 40 units of food stored. That's fine, because like we have lots of food. That wasn't the problem. The problem is inflexible lunch ladies who just told people that they could go sawed off when it was not the exact right eating time. In any event, though, let's go ahead and start this off here. We want to actually get that going, even though we don't have any alloys. So a key goal right now is to get to level 2 space, which is going to require a little bit more buildings. So ready for extraction, we can do this here. Next up, we're going to go ahead and scour the globe in search of survivors. And yeah, we're just seeing what's going on Earth. That's really all that this part of the quest is. Next, we're going to go ahead and drop a probe down here. And we want to stop sort of building at this point in time for a little bit. The reason is that there's a stupid thing that this game does where if you build too much stuff, they will tell you, hey, we are running out of space in here, we need you to build us a new sector. You need to unlock a new sector. And it happens way earlier than I think it should, because our sector is actually still pretty empty. But it's how the game wants to do things, so if that's how they want to play, then that's how they want to play. So at this point in time, our goal is really just to wait till we start trickling in the resources. Once we get to a certain point with the resources, we don't really have to worry too much about the current state of things, and we can sort of skip to the next stage, which is building a couple buildings and opening the new sector. The problem with the opening of the new sector is that we're going to lose 40 workers out of Sector 1, and you can't really afford that, which is the main problem. Now, if it let you wait until you got a little bit more buildings, then you could have like your Sector 2 space, and you could also have your access to what's it called? I can't even remember, but your cryo chambers. If you had all of that, then you could easily do both things that you need to, which is get a whole bunch of new people, get some core infrastructure up, and then when you had enough people, you could open up the new sector. Now, you can opt to just ignore people's requests, but then they just start terror bombing everything, so... Which is, frankly, a really over-extreme thing to being like, look, we don't have the time, manpower, or resources to do the thing you're asking for. What you're trying to do is stupid. Like, let's wait till we've opened up some of these cryopods so we have enough workers to work both stations. But they're just like, no, I'm just going to firebomb our, like, food supply, because I think that's a smart idea. Very, very smart, very, very intelligent people that we're dealing with here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and add in another of these things. And it is going to be alloys for now. And we do kind of want to get another one over here, but for now this is okay. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to have two of these guys. It lets us get all of these resources much, much, much faster. So, yeah, I'm just going to hit this fast forward button a little bit here. Yeah, this is basically how the Earth goes, and this is sort of how our building goes. As you can see, more alloys, more of the polymers, and more science. You might think that we're going and getting a ton of alloys. We kind of are, but we lose it so fast. Like, we go through this really, really, really quickly. So don't think of this as being a lot. This is just barely enough to kickstart where we're going. I'm going to go ahead and hit the buttons here to get this stuff done, even though we're not going to start doing that for just a little bit here. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and sort of skip ahead from some of the waiting here. Like I said, what we want to do is get to space sector, space tier 2. We're already at space tier 1, and we just need one more building, I believe, before we're at tier 2. So we throw this in, and that will get us to where we're trying to go. And then we also throw in the cryonic pods, but we want to make sure that we're sort of like okay on resources before we bother doing that. So just going to wait until we get the prompt to start opening up a new sector, and then we'll be back. Okay, and we're back. So we've got a couple things that are going on at this point in time. We've been told that we have to get this stupid gateway open. Might as well hit the button right now, but I've got other things that we're building. You sort of just build all this stuff at once you get to the point where you sort of have to build it, and that's kind of how things go. But what we also want to do is get this thing set up somewhere, and I'm probably going to put it over like here somewhere, just because 1, 2, 3... I just want to keep sure that we've got some room for a few more houses, but we have to have room for another large building. Yeah, like there seems fine. Alright. But yeah, like, this is where all of your stupid, like, resources just immediately flood to. Do that. And as you can see, we're going to have very few workers once this actually finishes. Like, this is a fairly painful process that you're going to end up really regretting having done. But there's nothing much we can do about it. Anyway, debris field. So this is a new sort of structure that sort of used to be some sort of weird building, basically. Despite all of the warnings about it being sort of dangerous and difficult to communicate, you can just click through all of these. Investigate the core of the structure, works fine. It's basically just this large building where they've stuffed a whole bunch of people in cryopods, and we're going to need those people in those cryopods to fuel our expansion pretty badly as well. I think we can fit actually our iron mill over this way, so hopefully that's the case. If not, that's going to be a little bit awkward. I can never remember the exact stupid building sizes here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I think we put it up like that. Or I could do it like that. Either way is fine. This is going to be a temporary building no matter how we view it, so it's not as though it's that important as to how we do this. So the advantage if I go like this way is that I can get it so that we've got a bit of supply pointing towards it, but that's further away from the docks, so I think we might want to go like that. We could also go like this and have it get filled in from like the other side. Either way kind of works for us. Yeah, I think we do it like this. I usually, every time I do this, I do it slightly differently, and any way that you decide to do it works, so don't get too caught up in getting this exactly the way that I'm doing it or anything like that. Do it your own way. A lot of the temporary buildings in particular, we're just not really that concerned about. This is the Ursnabi, it's that ship that we were trading with earlier. It's still there, so kind of gives you an indication as to how long we've been here. Gonna go ahead and just pop that there, and that leaves us just enough room, I think, to get this here and then put this down here. And then those will be like iron and alloy, and we'll be able to sort of have all of those working for us. Going to take quite a while to fill in all of these things here. This is why we kind of want to have this started early. And once this starts going, we'll have another tier of this stuff going. I might actually change this one over to pod people.
A science ship team has completed a task.
Okay, so I think that was the Ixion Abbey. It's just a bit of food still over there. And then we can head over to Venus. But yeah, basically at this stage of the game, we're just really trying to get all of these systems online. Complete these quests, not have people blow up our stuff because we have refused to do some stupid arbitrary thing that they've asked us to do. And we have to get mining iron and other resources similar to that, so a lot of stuff that has to get done. As you can see, we're also really slow just because we've got so many little stupid things that have to travel all this way. And the way that they travel is a little bit stupid as well, so... Alright, so this place, we've got a base that's sort of on Venus over here. Mining and industrial infrastructure, and what we're going to do is just turn it back on. That's going to cost us a little bit of alloys, but that's fine. So we'll go ahead and send that over there. This will get us a bunch of polymers, that's what they're synthesizing over there. Which would technically be the faster way here? I think this would be. Then that. Whoops, these are siphoning the iron. It's okay. And there we go, first step of debris field. So that gets us our first set of people in their pods. We can investigate the ruined assembly area, so we're just checking out the entire structure in this particular case. The place sort of broke apart after like a big battle, but realistically there's not much we can do about any of the stuff that happened in the past there, and it doesn't really inform what we're going to be doing too much, so I try not to think about that and all the dead people. Okay, pledge to restore the hull to with 75% within 30 cycles. Okay. We are going to wait till this finishes first. It should be just a couple more cycles before it's done. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me a bigger efficiency boost. So this is really what we're after out of this. Now that we've unlocked this new sector, also I've unlocked another science. I'm just going to assign something here. Polymers is good. Batteries would also be good, actually. It doesn't really matter. Either one's fine. So yeah, this is going to be our food production sector. Similar to what we did when we opened up our first one, we want to sort of plan out spacing and distances and stuff like that. We are going to have a temporary iron mill in here as well, because we do want two of them. It's a little bit awkward when you've got them in both separate sectors, but that's sort of the easiest way to do it. And then later on, we're going to turn this into our industrial sector that's going to have both of them. But for now, this is fine. What I like to do for my food sectors is a mushroom wall. The mushroom wall itself is not necessarily the best building, but it does have very strong bonuses if you get a bunch of them, because it counts as recycling, it counts as food, and gives you bonuses for both very, very efficiently. More so than most other buildings, because they count as a larger building than they actually are. So the way that I like to do it is I like to have these 4 tiles up here clear, which is what we're going to be needing for that, and then we just sort of do a similar thing to what we did previously, which is this guy goes here. And then we get this guy over here, and then we have a little gap here so that we can have a road that heads into the mushroom farm sort of wall there. And so we got another spot there, like that. So we can have our road straight across this way. We can have a road go up like that, because we're going to have a road up that way anyway. We do want our road going like this, but we can do that later. In fact, we can have all that later. And then we're just going to try and like clear out this entire area yet again, get that going for us. And yeah, we'll just have all of these resources picked up and converted into stuff that's going to be in this sector. So for the mess hall, we can have our sort of one space there, and then we do this. And we can do that. So basic layout for this at the start here, we're later on going to have some houses down this way, similar sort of column going across that way, and then we're going to have a bunch of insect farms. Now, these things take a lot of workers, a lot of power, and a lot of resources, so we're going to be adding them in slowly. Eventually, we'll start deleting these ones as we get more and more workers into Sector 2, but generally speaking, I keep these ones for quite a while, since there's not much reason to remove them at this point in time. For now, though, we basically just have all of these sort of things going on here. We've got our first set of pod people. Those are going to be important. We're going to just keep launching probes while we're at it. We do have some sort of path that we want to take here with our science ships, so we want to make sure that we're getting everything. We've got one that's going to sort of be going to the left and one that's sort of going down. And that should basically leave them both busy for a fairly decent amount of time. But anyway, that's sort of what we're going to be doing for the next little while, exploring the debris field and exploring Venus. Those both take quite a decent amount of time, and then we're going to be opening up and unlocking this whole sector here. So anyway, that's going to be this little bit. I'll be back to you guys in just a little bit here. Got them saying that we opened up a new place. They trust me because I did it. Fantastic. We're now slightly less shit, but in any event, I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So this is one of the more delicate parts of Chapter 1 here. We've got ourselves our iron mine, or our iron refinery, whatever the hell it is, working, and it is producing alloys. And this is how we're going to keep ourselves alive for a while. But it's difficult to use this thing to get ourselves ahead. What's more important is getting more population with this thing. And you kind of have to be doing both at the same time here, which really stretches our existing manpower. We have to get up to 177 in this sector before we can turn science back on. And yeah, that's something that takes a while. We have got more alloys over here, so in a pinch, we can actually turn off some stuff. Now, looking around the map here, we've sent our starting one over to Mercury. We've got debris field finished up here, and we can go ahead and survey this field of debris over here. I'm actually going to lower priority these things pretty soon. We don't want to overflow with the pods, because once we get too many of these things, it actually becomes an issue. It creates bottlenecks, and it makes your people unhappy. So what we want to do, though, is just keep pumping as much iron as we possibly can so that the station gets really, really strong and beefy arms, I guess. I don't know. But this section over here is just going to be very, very slow in sort of getting it to where it needs to be. We can go ahead and start working on some of this right now. In fact, having one of these available right now is a good use of our starting population. Building this, we're going to be up to 32, so we can actually get 2 insect farms pretty much right away in the sector without having to sort of get anything else. But yeah, we sort of run out of things to do in this sector, and we slowly have to start getting more people so we can build more farms over here. That's really what's important. So we've got all of our science from Mercury. That's all you get there. It's just there's some science. Heading over to Mars next. Mars, similarly, is actually pretty easy for us to manage because Mars has got a password since we did the Mars thing in Chapter 1. If you don't do the Mars thing in Chapter 1, it's harder to get the resources out of it, and as a result, it's a little bit worse. Pretty much no excuse for not doing the quest at Mars, other than you really want to keep your 20 resources for some stupid reason. And realistically, you don't really need those resources that badly, so it's always better to trade those resources out for either tech or for different resources. Either way, you're going to get something better than what you're starting out with. We are slowly gathering some workers, but it is going to be a hell of a long time before we've got really enough. As you can see, though, we are getting ahead on alloys. What we actually want is to get enough that we can restore our hull integrity a little bit more efficiently, but that's not really going to be that easy. So use Dolus clearance codes to access the complex. We still have the same codes that were used for the space here back when we helped it in Chapter Prologue. So that's what we're doing here. So over here we've started getting a little bit of food. We can go ahead and actually build down this way. And we can go ahead and build another one of these. That'll let us get a little bit more of this stuff around, and we can also go ahead and get another house. Now, you don't need population boosts in both sectors. We can send them from this one sort of centralized area, and that sort of keeps things a little bit tidier, so I prefer doing it that way, but you can do it either way, kind of. It works fine. Alright. Unfortunately, I really wish you could fit a 5th space thing down here, but they made it so you could fit 4 and then have this like little awkward area that you can't really fit anything practicable into. Don't know why they did it that way, other than that they hate everybody that lives. We're going to just set ourselves up to research these, even though we aren't actually going to research them just yet, because we can't. But yeah, so we reactivated the system. It's now offline. Yeah, so the storage area gives us the best stuff. For some reason, we can only do one of these, and if you do a full sweep, everyone dies. But yeah, it's because we briefly deactivated the base defense system, I guess. I don't really know why. The Science Study Center doesn't actually have as much stuff as the storage area for some reason. I don't know. So, storage area. I think if we prepare the site for resource extraction, it also kills the science team. Can't really remember for sure, but I do remember that the best result is if you do the supply area, I think. Pretty sure, anyway. In any event, we are going to be here for a while. Like I said, we have to wait till we have 177 people so I can turn science on. It's either that or we just sort of have to start turning off random stuff, and we can. We can turn this off, for example, and that would get us an additional 12 workers. That would still be a little bit short. I would have to drop down to 130 somehow, so yeah, basically we're going to have to sort of sit on what we got here for a little while here. In any event, though, we're going to be gradually and slowly building our way up here, and once we've sort of got that all done, I will be back with you right then. Okay, we're back. This one's going to be pretty quick. We've moved one of our science ships over to Saturn. All we're going to do is just sit here. We're going to make contact. We are going to choose to drill through the ice. This one's a little bit opaque as to why the choices are the correct ones, honestly. But basically, we're just going to be going further and further in here. Once we get all the way in, we can meet one person who's got a password that lets us get into the facility at Neptune. The asteroid belt, I can't remember exactly why, but we're also just picking the choice to dismantle part of the facility. The control center has been identified by sealed off by a shutter and a UN emblem stenciled over it, but it's accompanied by a helical-shaped symbol. Maybe if I knew what the helical-shaped symbol meant, I could figure out exactly why it is you're not supposed to force entry into the control center, but I don't know what that is, so yeah, not going to worry about it. Maybe if I could like envision what they mean by that, because there's a couple different ways to draw a helical symbol. Either way, inside we're just, we built another solar panel, and we have a couple of things running here, just trying to get ourselves clear of this 638 threshold, just because it's a quest that we have to do within a certain amount of time, and we've got a good amount of alloys coming in at this point in time. So right now, our main concerns are watching our production of electricity and our production of people, and as long as we sort of got that running smoothly, we're fine. I believe that we're out of mineable resources, so we're going to also check out another mining probe before we send out another one of those things. So we do have a thing for the questy stuff up here. This is like the Outer Haven that we sort of went to illegally last time. Can't remember exactly where it is. Everything's like in a slightly difficult for me to find spot because I'm bad at hot or cold or whatever. There we go. But we have got our resources coming in, and we should be able to get this done fairly quickly. Going to be delayed here just a little bit, but yeah, basically once we get ourselves up to this hull integrity amount, we just turn off a bunch of things, and we are ready to sort of rock and roll our science center, which is the really important thing to be able to turn back on. We've got 156 science pooled up. There's a lot of important things that we can get from our science right now. For the asteroid belt, we're just going to get some science as well. That's going to be quite good. Just go ahead and sit there. So as you can see, like, we got one science ship that's sort of going this route. It goes from like Earth to Urshanabi to Venus to Mercury to Mars to Saturn to Neptune, while the other one goes from like the debris field to the asteroid belt to I think it's Pluto over there, and then up to the Dolos center. So that's kind of the route that I take my two ships on. We've got our hull integrity back up to the requisite amount there. We have got just enough people to do this, so turn that back on. We have plenty of energy now. We don't have enough manpower over here. And we don't have enough manpower over here, I don't believe. Yep, so we're going to have to wait on that, or we could turn off this one. Still a little bit short. I think we can turn off this soon. I think I can turn off this now, actually, because we're going to find one more mining source. We can turn off the probe launcher after that as well, so that's how that's going to go. But yeah, this is sort of what we're running right now. We just want to make sure that we're getting sort of all of our tech and everything as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I'm going to go ahead and set this up as our secondary research so that we don't have a gap between them. Bit more efficient that way, but not much. I do have to be able to turn on these things, so we do actually still need workers in this sector. We're not really running everything that we want to be, so we are not going to switch over just yet, but we are going to be switching over pretty soon. We'll go ahead and look for a good mineable spot here. There should be a iron and carbon sector over here somewhere. Or we could just get a lot of iron. Trying to find where that spot is. There's like a sweet spot where you can get like both iron and carbon. I think look for the carbon is the way we do this. There's an upgrade later that makes this sort of thing so much easier. Alright. There's a better spot for that elsewhere, but this one's the closest by one, so it's actually not that bad. Yeah, we'll have to do some transfer over stuff. Okay, this can be turned off now. The fact that we're pooling up iron is not great, but is fine. We have got a decent number of people here. Yeah, so we're just going to continue going along with what we got here. It's going to take a while for us to consume all of the science that we've got going on. And, yeah, we consumed all the science over at the asteroid belt. We're going to go move Rat over to Uranus. Uranus takes a while to finish, but that's fine. And basically what we have to do is get ourselves to the point where we can get some plus happiness bonuses before we take a -1 stability hit. This happens about 200 days after we arrived in system, which is about day 260. So we've got a lot of cycles before that happens. Maybe around 250, I think, to be safe is what I would say. But we have a lot of resources that we want to pick up. You don't want to be leaving system with like just resources on the ground if you can help it. There are times where like there's just a tiny little bit of something that you're not going to be using, but you know, if you don't have something like that going on, you don't have some sort of reason to leave early, then you probably shouldn't leave early with the resources still lying around. So in any event, though, this is going to be how things are for the next little while here. It's going to take quite a bit, but that is sort of how things are. So, yeah, we're just going to continue going deeper into the station, deeper, and then when given the option of how to get rid of the ice, we're just going to drill through it. That's how you deal with that. Why that's the way you deal with that, I have no idea. Literally none. I've read through it, and I can't figure out why that's the correct answer, and the other one just causes disasters. Our hull integrity is dropping, but that's fine. We're kind of safe with that. It can go down to about 25%, and as long as you're above that sort of 25% value, like you switch these on at that point, that's very, very efficient if you do it that way. So generally speaking, it's okay to let your hull value fall quite a bit. You save a ton on alloys if you're not trying to keep at 100% the whole time. Over here, though, we do have to go ahead and drop some more population here. So for Uranus, there's this weird tree here. What we want to do is carry out the ecological analysis, harvest it, and then blow it up. So the order is important, but ultimately you're just going to do everything at the tree at Uranus. So anyway, we're just going to keep on slowly building up our population, replenishing our ability to do basic things there, turning on our systems as we get more population, get our ability to do that. It's also a good idea to start thinking towards getting your next solar panels. They're much more expensive, so one of the techs that we're going to want to get for that is the photosensitive lamination, but we can't do that until we've unlocked all of the techs in this sort of circle. So we have to get the alternative life center, the memorials, the battery, and the electronics factory. And even then, I would get that second to the tech lab upgrade, the assistant promotion, which gives us additional science units every 5 cycles, which is just a very, very powerful bonus that makes that we just auto gain tech, which adds up a lot over time over the cycles of the game. So anyway, I'll be back just as we continue along here. Okay, and we're back yet again. So we got our science ship down to Neptune. We've basically just got like this and Outer Hope to scan. Outer Hope, you just go through everything, but with Neptune, all that you're really capable of doing is collecting what's usable from the remains of Thiaki Station. The collapse is bad, the explosives is bad, and we can use the biometric data as well, but we want to do this one first because it's a little bit faster, get us the stuff a little bit quicker. The other thing is going to get us access to a unique tech that's kind of useful. makes it so that these things send out an additional drone when they're sort of going. Now, at this point in time, what I kind of actually want to do is get ready to open another sector. Basically, we sort of have to get all these techs done. I don't think I'm allowed to work on the tech that I want to, given just the sort of situation here, but that's fine. We're only at a cycle 103 out of, like, many, many, many cycles that we're going to be doing. Okay, so we're just going to do that. Have another one sort of like, another of these cargo ships, I think is actually a useful thing to get at this point in time. We have got a bunch of different resources sort of loitering around in space there that we do need to get access to, so having all that's going to be quite good. But I do kind of want to get that industrial zone started up pretty soon here. What we want to do is just get this sector, Sector 1, like right up to 210, which is the population cap that this provides us without really sort of going over that. I would like to avoid building more housing for the sector. You can actually go over population by a little bit, and having that amount of people, though, will let us sort of operate what we want running most of the time without any real problems. So once we get up to about 210 here, we start sending our new workers over to this sector, and once you've sort of filled in this sector enough, that'll all be fine here. The alternative, though, is that I turn off a bunch of stuff here, and then I send 40 people over this way, and that is another thing that we kind of have to do, so... at that point in time, though, I think it's easier if you've got a built-up area over here where you've got enough food production that you can kind of rely on that sector for food production. I think that we're probably close enough here. Those extra 2 might matter, but I don't think they do all that much. Yeah, I think they'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and send our workers as well as our non-workers over to the sector. There's usually a little bit of a delay, so we might end up getting another 1 or 2 over in Sector 1 anyhow. Neptune over here, like I said, we've got that going on. Rat can now send its way to Outer Hope. We've still got loads of resources that are being collected, so we don't have to worry about hurrying up or anything like that right now. We've got loads of resources again all of a sudden, just because we've been doing a diligent job of getting that iron. Basically what you want to do is like turn off something, launch a probe to find a new mining site, turn off your probes, and then continue doing that until you've mined out areas. Basically, like, if you've got stuff to mine, you don't need to have your probe thing active at this point in time, since like everything's been revealed. You just need to find more mining nodes. Generally speaking, since we're going to be traveling towards Jupiter, we're going to want to check for mining nodes that are on this side of the map rather than on this side of the map. Later on, we'll check the resource nodes around Jupiter, and that will be a little bit better, but for now, that's fine. Okay, so now we use the biometric data instead of the explosives. This takes longer somehow than the explosives. I have no idea why. It's literally just you put a hand beside a door. It takes 4 days to do that, apparently. Maybe they did something weird to it in the meantime. You know, they were Weekend at Bernieing the guy. I can't remember that movie. I never watched it. Either way, they're doing something like that with Corpse, maybe. Okay, it looks like we did get sort of exactly the amount. We are running out of houses on this side, but we do want to get more over here as well. Now the thing is, you do produce waste out of houses after you've upgraded them, and as a result of this, you can end up in a situation where you want to be putting all of your houses into a zone that's going to give you a penalty or a bonus, depending on how you look at it, on waste production, where your houses produce more waste. And since waste is a very valuable resource, you kind of want most of your waste production to be located in your agricultural zones. That's where you produce extra waste. So having the majority of your population housed in agricultural districts is actually one of the ways to get that happening. Okay, so we have to wait a long-ass time before any of this happens. I'm still going to build this and space it out here. We'll drop that there. That way we know that this goes here. And we're just going to keep building these out like that. So I like turning these zones into like recycle and food. Just that's gives you like the housing, the food production gives you a bonus from the recycling bonuses. It's a weird set of synergies that I'm not entirely sure I like, but that's how they decided to do it. So having a zone do 2 things that are food and recycling seems pretty strong to me. In any event, though, yeah, so we're basically just sort of relaxing on a bunch of stuff until we can get our techs rolling. We have got a little bit more science that we're going to be getting, but it's not a whole ton. So this is kind of like the area where you sort of unlocked, and then you can get a little bit of stuff. You'll be getting a little bit more, but you'll be getting a little bit of stuff that's sort of in these areas. Surprisingly good things to get are these, like, stellar cuisine and space chef, if you can get those, but those take a while to get. You also need, like, the farms and stuff like that. The crew quarter bonuses, those are really good, but the thing that you typically want to get is assistant promotion, then intelligent lab first. So, although admittedly you can only get the first tier right now, then it takes forever to get computing optimization. Yeah, so in any event, though, just about reached our hope. We can start that up soon.
A science ship has arrived.
You can just do these in whatever order, it doesn't really matter. In any event, though, we got those techs done. Let's go ahead and get, like I said, the assistant promotion. And that gets us access to that science real nice and early. One of my favorite things to have access to. Alright, how are we doing here? We've got 5 people. These stupid things require 8 workers. That's why they're so bad. They are temporary, because we are going to want to get rid of them eventually. These things, I don't actually think you need these. I think you can get away with the Alternative Life Center and the DLS Center, which are both different sort of happiness bonuses. And then you have, like, the Demotic Quarters, the highest level houses, and then you have, like, the train system, and then you have, like, a Exofight Center somewhere, and then you've basically got enough happiness, I think, probably for the rest of the game. And you get a dog. Getting a dog is, of course, one of the most important bonuses. Alright. So, I think for now, what we're going to do is just get all of this sort of stuff here. Oops. I'm pretty sure that we were supposed to not use the explosives, so we're not going to. That one can result in some bad stuff happening. I think our hull integrity has dropped our efficiency, so we're going to drop that here. Turn this off again. And with that being done, I think we're in a good position to actually get our next sector open. It's just, again, the population is the bottleneck here. We have 20 people here when we're doing it this way. We have got the ability to turn off this thing for a little while, or the science, or some other stuff. But again, I think we wait till we can turn off some stuff because we've got our food production shifted over. Right now, the amount of food being produced here is exactly enough to feed all the people here. The amount of food that's over here is not quite enough to feed everybody over here, but as soon as we get one more worker, we'll be able to feed everybody in this sector. And basically we just have to hope that we get enough workers proportionally that we can continue to get everybody a continuous stream of food without having to rely on, like, the pickups from around the galaxy, basically. So, yeah, we're just going to be waiting for populations coming in from this. You might be wondering why I don't get, like, 2 of these. It's because we just don't have enough, like, manpower. These things require a hideous amount to get. Once you've sort of got rolling, you can get 2 of them. But before then, it's just really hard. Alright, so we've got passive science income at this point in time. That's actually really, really good. Next is going to be photosensitive lamination. That reduces the cost of our solar panels. And we're going to be needing another one of those pretty soon here. And then after that, we're going to have some efficiency techs that we're probably going to want to get. Alright, we can get another one of these on. So we're now a little bit ahead of food. And it's just the sort of struggle going back and forth between being ahead of food, being a bit behind of food, back and forth and back and forth. So what we can do here is definitely build another one of these. Maybe even 2, and then just not power them. So this will theoretically be enough for, like, God, I can't even remember. 40, 80, 120, 160. This is enough for 240 people in the sector. But it's going to be a while before we get to 240 people. How many non-workers do we have on the ship? 50. We have 50 in total non-workers, so they're consuming food, but they can't work in the farms. I think it's a little bit weird that you can't like train them to do like basic tasks like that. Alright, for now we have enough workers and enough resources to fill in these. So we're just going to take those resources, make sure that we scoop that out. I still don't get what's with this like Mechanicum Warhammer 40k type soundtrack. Doesn't really feel like it fits the game all that well, but whatever. It's fine. Alright. Yeah, so we're stuck on alloys here. I could transfer some over, though. Because I think Sector 2 actually does want a little bit. I'm only going to bring these guys up to about 40. But that is something we want to be doing here. We are just about at a quarter health here, so we're going to turn this on. And this is when we like really drop down in terms of how many people we got available, so we have to be sort of paying attention to that a little bit more. We're still drilling with our mining ship, so that's good. We've still got lots of stuff being done around here. So we check the battlefield, we search Outer Hope. We've got another thing to search at Outer Hope, if I recall correctly. It's just, you go through all of them. But yeah, I'll be back once we've got some more people working in here and we're ready to crack open another sector. Okay, we're back and we're not quite where I said we were going to be. Now, this is a weird transition period. We've unlocked the optimized quarters, which is a really good building to have. But the reason that we end up in a sort of funny state because of them is because we need to replace all of our currently existing houses with these optimized quarters. So we're going to be tearing down a ton of our houses and we're going to be rebuilding all of them basically in this style. And what ends up happening is that because these things have sort of less of a footprint, you can end up in a situation where you actually have way more space efficiency, because these things have 40 people in them instead of like 30 for these two combined. And they still cost the same amount of alloys per person, but they also only take 2 electricity. So you're getting a little bit more people per electricity. Instead of 15, you're getting 20. And you're getting 20 per square spot instead of 15 like with these things. So you end up getting a bit of extra space built into your base as a result of this. So we're going to build these up, replace all of our other ones. Once that's finished, because we're going to be shuffling around too many resources while this is happening, we're going to go ahead and get rid of, or start up a new sector, basically. Sector 2 over here, we're actually like a little bit... Both sectors, like, we're pretty close on population here. I've actually gone back to getting workers in Sector 1 because we're going to have a bit of a population spike, but every time we finish building one of these, we can dismantle 2 of these guys. So we go ahead and do this, and this, and over here we do this, and this. And eventually we'll have been able to replace every single building with the optimized quarters, and then later on we're going to have to do the same thing again once we want to replace the optimized quarters with demotic quarters, which I don't know what demotic means, honestly. No clue whatsoever. So we replace that with that. Then we go over here and we build... If you're wondering why we don't want to have both, people don't actually move out of these buildings when there's better housing available. So we won't get the happiness bonus until we've like destroyed these. So even if we have enough housing for everybody to live in the optimized quarters, they won't live in them until we get rid of the basic quarters. So just a sort of weird little knack of the system there. Right now, I do need actually just a little bit more to operate this thing, but we are technically ahead on our food. This is good for up to 16. We can sort of have a little bit transfer over this way if we need to, since we're a little bit behind over here. But things are fine, all in all, I'd say. We've also got the photosensitive illumination or whatever, or lamination, so we can get cheaper solar panels now. This is 40 instead of 45. Like, that's good. We're going to be able to continue getting cheaper ones as we go down the line. I think now might be an okay time for this. We've got enough workers, right? Yep. Oops. Okay. A little bit too much electricity. This is why I was saying we need electricity. What do we turn off here? They're going to tell us we need some batteries. We'll be doing that later. I think we can actually turn off science in a little bit here. Okay, so we'll turn that off. We're going to turn this on. We'll go ahead and get ourselves more powerful power generation. Don't necessarily want to get 2 of these. Wait, what? Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, they shuffled over. I was like, did they not transfer? That would be really weird. Yeah, I can actually turn off this thing since I don't need it right now, and I think that gives me enough for the insect farm. Keep getting ahead on that whenever I can. So every 3 of these that you build, you can actually get rid of one of these rows of buildings too. We are going to end up building like all these spots in with like these optimized quarters anyway, so like it doesn't matter too much. But if you're at a point where you need to keep like be more efficient with your alloys, you don't have to like build all of these buildings here. In fact, if we check our population here, like yeah, we're doing okay right now. Our population's been growing this whole time, so it's not like we're getting that far ahead. But yeah, this is sort of what we're doing for the next little bit here. We still have resources coming in from all over the place, so that's good. But in the meantime, I will be back once we've gotten all of our houses replaced, I guess. Okay. So we've sort of moved forward a bit. We've unlocked something called the black box. You get this from the outer station. And basically this just gives us the data to make a volt jump coordinates, as well as telling us where you know, something is here. We now know that there's something over here in Jupiter. So we just have to invest this to advance the story a little bit, but basically we're prepping ourselves to get ready to go. Now that we've upgraded all of our houses to optimized housing, everyone's happy now. You get +2 from people living mostly in optimized quarter, so that increases our happiness by a decent amount. I'm actually at the point where we can sort of like move on here, but I'm going to turn on the research for the DLS Center. The DLS Center is going to give me some options that are going to make my people crunch a lot less awful. So hopefully that'll kick in pretty soon here. Meantime, though, we're just getting these areas sort of filled in and getting more workers and so on and so forth. One of the things that you can do with the DLS Center is you can make it so a sector doesn't have... It doesn't require as many workers, basically. Like, you overwork everybody, but without penalty. And doing that is a really great way to sort of stretch out your people during the early game. The DLS Center can also be used to give you +2 to stability, which is enough to counteract a lot of penalties. So it's a pretty good building overall to have early on in the game, and late in the game, and just in general. So in the meantime, though, I do really want to get this open. We're not really building anything too complicated right now. I can start getting rid of these. So I just have to think, like, can I get rid of 3 of them right now? I think I need 1 more of these over here. But we've got enough food stockpiled that I'll be okay for a little while. So let's start hitting the dismantle button on these guys. So that'll bring us to 176. So we're 4 workers we need to get rid of here. What I can do is I can click this button here. Once these 2 chips have gone, I can go ahead and I can depower this guy. Just have to wait for the chips to make it. Okay. So we're continuing to drop in workers available in sector, and that'll just keep dropping for a little while here. I need 1 more here. Fantastic. And we are going to, like, dismantle this as well, so, like, that'll help. But it'll be a little while before we actually bother doing that part. Like I said, we've got plenty of food stockpiled, so we can afford to do a little bit of this stuff going on. Okay. So, not screwed with population over here. That's great. We got that extra worker. Let's turn this on. And we are going to be moving food out of this sector and into Sector 1, generally speaking, so things should be fine. Sector 1, I'm actually going to pull this back a bit. Something like that seems correct. Okay, so new sector, same sort of problems that we have with our other ones. This one is going to be our industrial sector. So we need to have like room for these things, but we also want to have some of these spaceports, so we want to look at those for our spacing for the first bit. This means that we can use this as a guideline. So we can actually just go like this. Then we can say that we're going to want one there, then to have an extra space, so the next one would be over here. And then we want to have this one connected to there, we want to have that extra space. So then we want to have this one, and then we'd want to have this. So what we probably are going to do in this case is just, like, because this is getting a bit goofy, just go like this. It's fine. You can do this and then put in the other stuff later. It's fine. Not wanting to delete things is, like, real awkward with this game. Alright. So this will empty out real quick, and then we can start putting in our buildings, like, just fine. Alright, so we'll move around what's in each of these pretty quickly, but for now this is okay. Something like that ought to do. In the meantime, we just gotta keep an eye out on our sectors here. Make sure that everything's growing the way we want them growing. Want to get this place that's producing even more.
A science ship team has completed a task.
So what we can also do is bring you guys up to needing, say, we'll go with 40. So all the food out of here should be moved into here. Just make things a little bit tidier. Let's wait till this all clears out first. Should have waited actually for this stuff to clear out first. I should have let it path this way. That's my bad. So the reason that we want to have some spaceports here is that we want to have all our raw resources being dumped into this sector and not into this sector. And that's kind of what we want going on here. Okay, so we can just put this here. It really doesn't matter. I think anyway, actually. That might actually be wrong. I might be incorrect about this. But you know what? At this point, our resources are a little bit more forgiving. Like, every single alloy is less of a fight for survival. But that might have been a huge mistake. Let's find out. Okay, so we want to have this one sort of like here. That would put this next one over here. No, we're fine. Okay. By having like all our raw resources getting dumped off in this sector, we can keep this area a lot more tidy, and we can focus this sector on our like mining ships and our science exploration ships, which just makes so that we can sort of get around a little bit more efficiently. Sure, we'll do this right now. I think that gets us a little bit of science, so it's worth it. We're not mining a ton right now anyhow, so... Okay. Then our population, we can actually just start them off in these things right now, which is very good. But this is, I'd say, like the first half-ish of Sector 1, or Chapter 1. I'm going to call it an episode here, because this is... I take things slow and steady. Like, there's people who can speedrun this. I'm not that kind of person. Very slow, methodical, and just use up all our resources, get all the resources, make sure that we have everything before we leave. So, we're going to make sure that we got everything. There's lots of iron to be had in this sector. A lot of populations that we can sort of unlock in this sector as well. Our hull integrity is going up much more slowly, but that's kind of to be expected. There's not much we can do about that. Just going to have to sort of tough it out and wait until we can get to the next sort of area here. We're building 2 of these because we are going to want more population built into this place as soon as we can. I do actually want the population over here to recover pretty soon, but what we can do to do that is get more of these available and then disable more of these, essentially. We should have enough to feed everybody still. We should be okay with that. We'll eventually get the DLS center. At the rate things are going, that should be fine. We are still getting food from outside sources. These are all actually, like, these are no longer building food because we're stuck. Is this a meal cycle? No. I'm going to go ahead and just up this to, say, 60. And that should let us pick out all of this stuff here. Alright. Don't need any like EVA airlocks, we just need 2 docking bays. And even then, that's a little bit more than we can start off with anyhow, so that's fine. We're going to also make sure that these are not actually doing this. I want to go ahead and destroy this. Now the problem with this sector is that these things that we're primarily going to be putting in here are these big-ass factories, and they take some space, so they do just nicely fit in here, though, so we can have that house corridor the way that we had before. We can have this pointed this way, and it'll work out just fine. I do have to sort of rearrange this stuff a little bit, but one thing that we're going to want is actually to have, like, corridors down this way a little bit more so than we did with the other sectors. So we want to have, like, a sector where we have like our iron over here, it goes down here, and then the alloys over here, and they get sort of like pulled into this area really, really efficiently and quickly, which is not how this is set up right now, but that's fine. In any event, though, yeah, that's going to be our episode for today. Hope you found this one enjoyable, and hope to see you guys all next time.